Okay, hi, welcome to day 2 of online learning. We're going into section 6.4, which is going to be on the sine ratio. So on Tuesday, you were working with the tan ratio. I'm recording this like at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, and probably at least half of you have already handed that in, which is great, and most of you are doing it right. If I needed to critique anything, I just sent you a little message privately to let you know. Please remember to show your work, Carson. That's mostly for you. And so yesterday, what we were talking about is we were talking about the tan ratio. And the tan ratio is the opposite side to the adjacent side. So today's lesson will be quick because it's pretty much the same. It's just today we're going to focus on the sine ratio. But everything is the same. It's just you're going to use your sine button instead of your tan button. So make sure you know how to run your calculator. I know we discussed some of that a little bit on Tuesday over Hangouts. So in example 1, they want you to do sine of 75. Oh, just a sec, gotta grab my calculator. Back. So it really is just as simple as hitting sine 75 in your calculator. It wants it to the nearest 3 decimal places in this case. Please remember to round off properly. So mine says 0.9659. So that means when I round it off, it's going to be 9.66. And I will be looking for that on a test that you round it off properly. And so then we get down to example 2, and example 2, they give you this triangle. Just a sec. And they label it RST. They ask for the sine ratio of angle R. They didn't ask you what angle R was in the first part of the question. In the first part of the question, they asked for the sine ratio. So they really just want the fraction. So the sine ratio would be 8 over 17 because sine is the opposite side. So opposite angle R is 8. And the hypotenuse side, remember the hypotenuse is the side across from the right angle. So that is opposite over hypotenuse. Now, you can leave it that way. I actually like it better that way. But in the textbook, I think they actually do 8 divided by 17. The thing about when you do that is you end up having to round it off because the number is irrational. It never ends. So to put down an answer, you have to round it off. So as far as I'm concerned, you can leave it as 8 over 17. But the back of the textbook might say 0.47. It might say 0.471 or something. But you can use this because your calculator, for the most part, most of you, your calculator will do fractions. The next thing they ask you for is what is R? What is that angle measurement? So just like with the tan function, if you're going to move the sine over and the angle's not going with it, all you're moving is the word. You're just moving sine. You're just moving that. It becomes the thing that's called arc sine, but you have to hit your second function or whatever. On my calculator on Harriet, it's a yellow second function button, and it's up here. If you're looking for it, it usually is in the top left-hand corner of your calculator. So you're just going to do arc sine of 8 over 17. So if I do shift sine of 8 over 17, it tells me that it is 28 degrees. So again, same as yesterday, just with the sine button instead of the tan button. So easy. I got 2 more examples to do, and that's it. We'll be done for the day. Let's see if I can find them. Sorry. There they are. 25 and 17. So it gives you another triangle, and gives you J, K, and L. So J, K, and L. It tells you that this is 25 and this is 17. And it wants to know find the length of, yeah, it wants to know, find the length of JK. Here, so it actually wants to know this. There's a couple of ways you could do this. This is what I like about trig. You have options. To me, the easiest thing is in this one, I actually know two sides. So if I want, the easy way to do it is to just do Pythagorean theorem, right? A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Remember that c is always your hypotenuse, so it's going to be the 25. And the other two sides are the other two sides. And so it would be x squared plus 17 squared. So 17 squared is 289. And 25 squared is 625. So I'd subtract 289 on both sides. And I would end up with x squared is 336. Don't forget you have to take the square root of both sides. And, whoops, a second, and you get that it's 18.3. And voila, you have your answer. So that way, to me, would be the easiest way to do it, but this is the section on sine. So obviously, there's another way you can do it where we'll end up using the sine ratio. So if you forgot the Pythagorean theorem, you didn't think of it, you don't like it, whatever, you can do a couple of different steps to get you to this 18.3. So again, we already know the answer because we did it one way. I'm going to show you option 2. Option 2 would be to say, look, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find out what angle J is. Angle J I can figure out because I know the opposite side and I know the hypotenuse side, which is my sine ratio. So I can say sine of angle J is the opposite side over the hypotenuse side. Then I can figure out what angle J is because I can move my sine over here and I would do arc sine of 17 over 25. And if I do that in my calculator, shift sine of 17 over 25, it tells me 43 degrees when I round it off. It's like 42.8. So it tells me that this is 43 degrees. So remember, I'm trying to find this. I already know it's 18.3, but what if I didn't? Now what I could do is the other thing that we've talked about is the tan ratio. I could do that tan of 43 degrees is, and tan is the opposite side, which is this side, right? This is the opposite side, is 17 over the adjacent side, which we are pretending we don't know, and is x. And so again, to solve for a variable in a denominator, I multiply this side by x, and I multiply this side by x. So I have x times tan of 43 is 17. Now, if you want, you can put tan of 43 in your calculator. It'll give you a decimal. I don't bother. I just leave it as tan 43 because I'm going to put the whole thing in my calculator at the end. But now, remember, I want to get the x by itself. Right now, I am multiplying x times whatever tan of 43 is. So if I just divide this side by tan of 43, and I divide this side by tan of 43, I get, and all I'm going to do, I'm going to do 17 divided by tan of 43 in my calculator, and it's going to tell me 18. It actually tells me 18.2, but that's close enough. The reason it does that is, it says 18.2, is because this 43 degrees is actually rounded off. When I did the math over here, it actually works out to be like 42.8, and it goes on and on. Because I rounded this off, it changes this answer just slightly, but that's okay. So that's another option to do it. By the way, that's not the only option. So you could do Pythagorean theorem, you could do this. There's actually a couple of other ways you could do it. And if you use cosine, there's even more ways you can do it. Again, this is why I like trig, you have options. So that's example number 3. So one more example, example number 4. And again, I don't care if you do this with Pythagorean theorem or you do this 2-step process. My guess is most of you would choose Pythagorean theorem, but it's up to you. So, example number something or other, example number 4. They give you a triangle, again, it's a theme, and they give you A, B, and C, and they tell you, I can't read because I'm old, this side is 3.6, and this angle is 60, and they want to know the length of A to B. So they want to know that side right there. I tend to put a letter, like just a variable like X in there so I remember what I'm trying to find. So if I'm trying to find that, again, from the angle I know the opposite side, and I want to know the hypotenuse side. So opposite and hypotenuse mean I'm using sine. You need to know those ratios because eventually it's not going to be, you're in the sine section, so obviously I use sine. Eventually it's just going to be solve the triangle and you have to decide which one you're using. That's why I keep pointing it out. So sine of angle 60 is the opposite side, which is 3.6 over the hypotenuse side, which is x. So this is, I just did one just like this. I got to get x out of the denominator. So I'm going to multiply that side by x. I'm going to multiply that side by x. So I have x times sine of 60 is 3.6. Again, if you want, you can put sine of 60 in your calculator and get an answer. I don't bother because I just put it all in at the end. But I do show my steps all the way through, okay? So here, I want to get x by itself. So I'm going to divide by sine 60. So I'm going to divide this side by sine of 60. And so if I put that in my calculator, 3.6 divided by sine of 60, I get 4.2. Okay, so this side is 4.2. That's it for today. That's all you have to do. The questions will be listed that you have to do with this video. Other than that, that's it. That's all you have to do for the day. Get it done, then you can go play Fortnite or whatever it is you do. We've only got a couple of sections left in this. I was doing some lesson planning, and I believe I'm looking at somewhere around next Tuesday for a test. Again, how we'll do a test, we will all go to Google Hangouts and Google Classroom at 8:30 in the morning. I'll upload, I know it's early, I'll upload the test, you'll do it and upload your answers. You're doing a great job at uploading stuff so I can read it. That's good. Carson, turn your phone because it was sideways. Not that I can't turn it, but you do it. Other than that, I could read everything, so everything was good. So keep doing that. You're doing a good job. Thanks. Bye.